Hello, everybody. Welcome to another special edition of It's Fangirlz Assemble, but Kristan is out. And so Elliot's an honorary fangirl. Hello.
It's Yuna, the fangirl.
She's the other fangirl here. She's assembled. Hello, Mark. Hi, Aria. Hello, my friends. Good to see everybody. So we were talking. Oh, wait. Can't talk about what we're going to do yet. We got to talk about our sponsor. The lovely, the incredible, the amazing InStockTrades.com.
Yay.
You know, Elliot.
What?
If you're paying $50, how much do you think shipping will be?
At least twice that.
Get this. Free shipping, baby.
What?
Every the United States. And let's say you will buy just one book, which would be crazy, on InStockTrades.com. It's a $4 shipping, baby, flat.
What?
That's wild.
In this economy?
Yeah. And but the books must be expensive, right?
Oh, probably twice as much as a regular book.
You would think that. But it's up to 50% off. Sometimes more if it's our damages sale or their red tag sale. Pretty crazy.
But I bet the damages are really damaged. You can't even read them, probably.
Nope, I don't even notice. I never have. I never will. Totally worth it to me.
Wow. What a deal.
What a deal. Check out InStockTrades.com. We got the link in the description. Check it out. Let's talk about one of our loves, board games. And you're probably thinking, this is a comic book channel. What are you doing? Let me tell you, there is a huge crossover. Ellie and I and some friends, and also Joey Guzman, the Guz Buzz, are all going to GenCon next week. That's in Indianapolis. It's like the biggest board game convention. I guess it's the biggest one. It's like this one, and there's like one in Germany, right?
This is the biggest one. Don't look it up.
Don't look it up. Unless we're right, then that's fine. We're going to GenCon next weekend. It is like the mecca of board games and D&D and I don't know, live action role playing card games and like all these sorts of things. And there's usually actually a lot of like comic book people there because there's been a lot more like comic book board games and card games and trading card games and like tabletop RPG systems. Like I think Marvel does have its own sort of like D&D sort of thing as well. So we thought a good thing to like topic would be just talking about which board games we have that are like Marvel or like just comic book themed. We were going to do it downstairs, but it's a lot of effort. So we're just going to bring up a list and just talk about the different board games that we like. And if you have any recommendations, please let us know. I am doing great, Ryan. Thank you very much. Hello, James. Thank you for the appropriate emoji. So let's share my screen. Woo! Oh, this background. Now it shows up. Oh my. Please use less offensive background. Okay, there we go. Actually, no, that's too much. That's cute. Okay, let's talk. Let me make this bigger because this is tiny. Bow, bow, bow. So, the first one I want to talk about is my favorite. Ellie makes fun of me a lot.
It's her favorite board game of all time.
I love bringing this board game out. I love it so much. This is Thanos Rising, Avengers of Infinity War. So the whole point is like you're kind of playing out Infinity War. You've got Thanos in the middle. I'm glad people have little pictures of this. You've got Thanos in the middle, and you have these different like heroes, but also villains on the outside of him. And you're trying to recruit heroes and also save them from being killed by Thanos, while also killing Thanos's like minions. So you can recruit. You can have. Let me find a picture. Oh, and also, of course, the Infinity Stones unlock. So as like Thanos like moves around, he either attacks you or the heroes on the page or whatever, or he has his minions attack, or he ends up like collecting stones, which then unlock an Infinity Stone, which like mess up your whole game. And you play as like one of, there's like a million of these. You choose like your main person to play as, basically. Here's some examples of heroes. So like, what is it? You have the main heroes, Doctor Strange,
Captain America, the Black Panther, and
Gamora. Yeah, and so there's these different like people you recruit, and it's a dice game. So you roll different dice, and based on like what the symbol is on there and the number, that will tell you what you can do. It's like Yahtzee's similar, right?
Very similar to Yahtzee.
So imagine Yahtzee, but like it's Marvel and we're in like Infinity War time. Did you see the drone Galactus that Marvel for San Diego Comic Con? No, I didn't. I've missed a lot of the San Diego Comic Con like news. I figure I'll wait till the weekend's over and hear about it. Maybe I'm just like envious and that's why. It's like 2 to 4 people. It's cooperative. So like maybe if you play a lot of board games at home, like if you're newer to board games, a lot of the board games people play are like competitive. You're trying to get at everybody else. We have those too, but I'd say we'd prefer to like play cooperative stuff.
Yeah, and it's a good game for people who don't play board games a lot. So it's very easy to learn, very easy to pick up. Probably the only bad thing about this game is that there's a high level of variance. So sometimes it's way too easy, and sometimes it's completely impossible.
Yep.
So
I like it.
So there's a few things you can do to kind of make it a little bit more consistent, but you kind of have to find those things out for yourself.
And there's a few more like versions of this that came out later. Avatar has their own version. The Batman Who Laughs has its own version, which I don't own yet, and I desperately, desperately want because I love this like system, and especially when it's like themed comic book. But I really want these two, and there's others as well. Oh, Star Wars,
Plankton Rising.
I'm good. I just want these two.
SpongeBob.
So that's like my favorite one to bring out. This one is we have all except for one expansion of this game, the DC deck building game. Now we got into this before we were really into DC comics, and honestly, I think it's made our comic book reading better.
Yeah,
because we recognize so many characters from the board or the card game. And this is a deck builder. You start with a small set of cards. You purchase better cards to fight like a big bad. Essentially, that's me kind of like
your basic deck build. It doesn't really do much to change deck building games. But I mean, that's what's great about it is that it's very streamlined. Reading the card explains the card. So I mean, sometimes they get pretty wacky in some of the expansions and it overcomplicates things, but overall, like the base set game, super solid. A lot of fun to play when you have a lot of people.
Yeah. So you choose a superhero to play as, and then you get to use their special abilities, and you're basically recruiting other heroes and maybe villains and like equipment and superpowers to fight. Marvel Legendary is your deck builder of choice. I really like it. The only bummer is this is so silly of me, but like the storage of it, I don't like. So DC has a huge box. It's easy to store. I'll get into Marvel Legendary once I feel like they store it a lot better, because otherwise you'd have like so many boxes. But I like the system.
Thousands of boxes.
That's people playing. They look happy. But yeah, the storage is nice. So there's a ton of expansions of this. One of our so you can play competitively, and you can play like theme decks. So there's like Watchmen, Green Arrow, the TV show. What are some other good ones?
Birds of Prey. The Rogues, the Rogue Gallery of the Flash. Batman Ninja. That's a good one.
Oh, we have a list here.
Very cool.
Yeah, Flashpoint. Ooh, Legion of Doom. Do we have that?
Flashpoint is new to us.
Oh, we need to catch up. Oh, these are all we need to catch up. And they have big expansion, so they'll have like Teen Titans or Justice League Dark came out. We're picking that up next week. And sometimes the systems like change. So we've had like DC Metal, and then there's like Rivals, which is like 1-on-1, and they have their own special mechanics. So like the Rival system is all like Superman versus who does he fight with that one? Is that like
Lex Luthor?
We have Green Lantern versus Sinestro, Batman versus Joker. It's this sort of like. And then there's co-op versions, which are really cool, where you play through like Crisis. So like, I was hoping one would just show up. Yeah. Okay. So you actually play through these crises that are in like the comic books, which is really cool. And all of the art here is straight from the comic books, which I really like. So you get to like really enjoy art you already love and characters that don't get a lot of time, right? So it's great. Like Crisis 2, you get to play through all like the Black Lantern stuff and like fight against your like compatriots that are now undead. And there's like a DC Rebirth and all this cool stuff. I love it. Like it's
I mean, they hardly miss with stuff. I mean, mostly just because the base of it's so simple. I mean, it's kind of hard to ruin, and they've almost done it a couple of times. It's hard to ruin the the build of this game by adding stuff to it. It always enhances. I'm not a huge fan of the Rebirth one because they added movement, which just confused a lot of things, but outside of that, you can really play it however you want. I mean, they're designed by picking a base game, one of like the 5 base games that are available. And if you want a crossover, you just add those to that base game. That's the way you're supposed to play it. But a much more chaotic way to play it is just put all the cards together and then go nuts.
Yeah, when we first learned to play, our friends just put all the cards together, which was madness. And once we learned how to do it correctly, I was like, no way.
Pretty crazy. But it's totally possible. I mean, the game still functions, but there's a lot more wacky stuff that can happen. Sometimes fun, sometimes not fun.
Talk about Kyle Rayner. So like,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's a character in the second base game, Heroes United, Kyle Rayner, which he has, I think, the only alternate win condition in the game, because if you play him along with 3 other lantern rings, you just win the game.
It's great.
It's very difficult to do in a normal setting, but if you aim for it, it can be pretty fun.
It's great. So like if you like, maybe say you like trading card games, but it's really not really accessible and it's expensive, and like putting cards together is hard. This is a way to like do something similar in a fun way that like I think is really, once you learn the system, you're good to play every expansion always, and really any deck builder.
Yeah, I mean, if you've played like Dominion, it plays out almost exactly like Dominion. If you've played what are other really good deck builder games? It doesn't play anything like Legendary, but
our dog would act up immediately. Not the rest of the day. She's been fine. Just right now. Sorry, guys. So yeah, that's DC Deck Builder.
Very good.
I super recommend it. Even if you just buy the base set, and they keep like re-releasing them and like making them more condensed, so they're like super available right now.
Yeah, and there you can buy essentially an organization expansion that you can just put all of them into one box, which is very good.
So good. Smash Up Marvel. So Smash Up is a game that's like been pretty big in like in the geek crowd. Who's playing board games is like a huge geek, I guess. But like Smash Up was a game that existed before this, where you take 2 factions of something, like robots and aliens, or ants and vampires or something, and you combine all their cards together to make your deck. You're smashing them up.
Smashing them up, if you will.
And they had a ton of expansions. They've done Cthulhu and Munchkin and all this stuff. But they came out with a Marvel one, which is really cool. Let me see if I can find a good picture of like the groups here. But basically it's kind of similar, where you're not making a deck, you just kind of choose 2 halves of a deck to put together and see if they work. That's in French. That's not going to help me. Okay. So here's all the factions you can like put 2 together. You got oh gosh, what is something 6? What's it called?
No, you got it.
Stop it. You're just on purpose.
It's Sinister 6.
Thank you. Rude. Avengers, Ultimates, Kree, Masters of Evil, Shield, Spider-Verse, and Hydra. And so those come with their own set of like cards and characters, and then you can smash them together. You're trying to like take these bases, and they're all like themed. So you have like this is how it kind of plays out. Everyone's playing on this base. Whoever has the most points gets like.
Yeah, the aim is to get the in this particular case would be to get the 18. So the number of on the cards at this base need to be over or equal to or over 18, and then you can score the base at the end of that turn. So whoever has the most points gets 3, and the next one has 1 and following, and then you some bases happen when you score, or some effects happen when you score the base. Some bases happen as you're playing on the base. It just depends. There's a lot of variety. And then at the end of the game, I think you're shooting for a total of something.
15 or something.
I think whoever gets to that total first wins.
And it's great. They Lordy, they work really well with the theme, honestly. Like, I think Smash Up does very well of like, okay, if you're making a Nick Fury deck, what's he going to be really good at? Oh, probably playing extra characters, because he always has this like crew. He's always bringing in more people. So that makes sense.
Yeah, so each faction, they try really hard to make it their own play style. So if you can kind of, you can strategize a lot with 2 different factions, or sometimes factions work really well together, sometimes they don't work well at all, but you don't really know until you play it.
Honestly, it's a lot like Marvel Snap. That's actually a really good comparison. Because I remember when Snap came out, I was like, this feels like the whole bases thing and like how they all do their own things is very similar, which is why I liked Marvel Snap so much. I did have to delete it because it was taking over my life. I miss it a lot, and now it's been too long. I can't jump back in, which is good because I won't spend my money, because I was dropping it. Next one, 5 Minute Marvel. So we play this game called 5 Minute Dungeon that we love so dearly.
Mm-hmm.
It's you and like your friends, and you've got 5 minutes to defeat each monster and get to the end. And it is chaos. You're just throwing things down. You need like a shield and a sword and stuff to defeat a thing. And you're just like, shield, sword, I've got 2 arrows. Ugh! And you're just yelling.
Yeah, it's a cooperative experience. You're trying to, you're drawing cards from a deck that's specific to your class, or in 5 Minute Marvel's case, specific to a superhero. Each superhero has their own deck of special cards that you can draw from, and a regular deck of cards. You know, and you're just trying to get through all of these villains to defeat the big bad villain at the end. You do it about 5 times, and you only have 5 minutes, and there's a little timer that's messing with you the whole time. So
yeah, there's like a phone app, and you can choose the voice and stuff, and it'll tell you when it's getting close to time, and it's a good time. It's fun. This is a great like short game.
And the area, or the as far as entry, like you can play this with your young nephews or young nieces. I mean, you can play this with your grandma. Like it's anybody can play, because all you're really looking at are symbols on a card and the symbols in your hand, and then you just play them out as you draw them. So sometimes you can get to a point where you get stuck and nothing happens, but that's just how the game plays.
Amanda, hello. Don't worry, I'll eventually make you play this too. But this is like, honestly, it's one of our favorite games to go ahead and bring out, to be like, hey, I know you don't know board games yet, but we need to like icebreaker. Done.
Mm-hmm.
You just throw this out here. It's fast, and everyone has a good time. It's like okay, now we're ready. We're close to each other because we've just been yelling random like shield, runny guy, you know,
jumpy guy.
It's such a good time.
And then we're just yelling, we need 4 jumpy guys.
I need 4 jumpies. All right, so Villainous is another like big brand one. So it started off with like Disney characters. Everyone like has their own villain that they choose.
Technically a Disney character.
I guess it is Disney character, yeah. Everyone, and there's multiple expansions of the Marvel, and there's like Star Wars, and there's Disney. You choose a villain you want to be, and the villain has their like, you have an end game that you want.
Good choice of words.
And you're trying to achieve your own while also trying to mess up other people if you can. But most of the time you're keeping to your own little like play area. What are you eating? Oh well, don't worry about it. So this one's got like Killmonger on it. We've got not Hera. What's her name?
Hela.
I've been playing a lot of Hades too, so I'm really into the Greek mythology right now, and less than everything else. And you got Thanos, and there's more like they've done more Marvel expansions like since there's like I know there's Loki and a few others. And it's just a nice other like it's competitive but doesn't feel like so cutthroat.
Yeah,
And it's very thematic.
And I mean, and what's really cool about this game is that the win condition is different for every person you play. So I mean, if as long as you switch it up every once in a while, you're playing almost a completely different game, just depending on who you pick at the beginning, which can sometimes be a bit confusing to people who aren't really familiar with board games. So I mean, the barrier of entry on this one's a little bit higher, but I mean, overall, it's very simplified gameplay, just like some pretty advanced strategies can be implemented. So you may not really know how to play a character the first time you play it, so it may be a little disastrous, but.
And luckily, I think all of these can be used interchangeably.
Yeah.
Right. So if you have like a villainous Disney one and you want to have, I don't know, Gaston against Thanos, you can do that. That's fine. So you can just keep buying these sets. Mm-hmm. And that's nice. You're right. Omar can't play it because he does cheat at board games. He does. Mm-hmm. And that's true. I'm not lying. He does. It's very bad. You have to watch him. It is funny, but you do have to watch him a lot because he will cheat. Oh, I already mentioned the Batman last week. So we have a few that like we're going to GenCon next week. So I've been looking at like games that are coming out. And there's a few comic book board games that are coming out next week that looked really interesting, but I don't have a lot of like info on just yet. One is like the Age of Comics. You run a comic book publishing company during the golden age of comic books.
Wild. So
I don't know a lot yet about how that's laid out, but I like these sort of like themed things as well. So I guess you're all just kind of competing against each other.
Star Spangled Duds.
And this one, it looks like they don't have any like licensed comic books in here, but I'm about to show you a game that does. But you're just putting out like.
Yeah, it looks like a resource management style.
Yeah, but I love the style a lot, and I really like the theme. Carmilla. Oh, look how cute these are. It's so good. I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they'll have a lot of references to like comic book creators at the time as well. Oh, get ready. We have a ton. Half of the room downstairs is comic books, and the other half is board games. Well, maybe it's like thirds of everything. Yeah, this looked really cool. So that's Age of Comics, the golden years. And then Comic Hunters is one I'm excited about that does have Marvel like licensing. Oh yeah, Marvel Champions I've also been interested in, and I put on the list. We have it, but we struggled with like how to put the deck together, so we just never play it again. But all the expansions look really fun. So this one is all about comic book collectors. And I don't know still like how the like game itself works. Like we'll try to watch some like demos and stuff, but you'll see like even in the background, they're using actual Marvel comic books that have been released. Apparently this came out in South America, and then we're finally getting it here. So there's probably some licensing issues that just took a while. But I guess you're all competing to see who can get the biggest like collection size. And how cute is that? It's like 1 to 4. I'm really stoked about this. I feel like this is one that Mark would really like because I feel like he would recognize a lot more of like the comic books that I would.
It comes in a little cardboard box thing.
Yeah, look like I like that. It looks like it comes in the way the comic books would arrive. And the next one, the Invincible Hero Building game. So this is like 1 to 4 players, and from my understanding, there's not like a ton of info yet, but you choose a character and you basically acting out scenes from the show, like the comic book. So you're going to act out like different eras or arcs, I guess. Sometimes there's an advantage of being old. I'll get it so you can play next time I see you. But yeah, I really liked Invincible, so I'm curious to see if this works out well. Sometimes like a comic book turned TV show turned board game doesn't always work, but sometimes it does. Yeah, I don't have the brain space for deck building and champions. I just net deck from the Marvel CDB website to tell me what cards to put in. Yeah, that works better. I like when things are pre-built. It makes it easier for me to think through.
Yeah, that's just kind of a barrier of entry thing.
Yeah.
Because it never feels good to play a game with someone who is so much better at it that you just kind of get smoked. So
Yeah.
never feels good.
Next, why'd you put it all the way at the top? A couple more. These are so Kay O'Neill, who wrote Acorn Cove and Tea Dragon Society, has their own board games as well. I think developed by Oni Press, and I believe I picked up both these at GenCon. Acorn Cove, it takes from like the theme of the book. There's a couple of like special editions, I guess, arts directly from the comic. It's all about saving the reefs, and like it's just really pretty. I'll buy anything from Kay O'Neill. And I actually haven't played this one.
Yeah.
We just have it.
But we have played.
We have played Tea Dragon Society.
Very
There's
cute.
2 ones.
Very
There's this one, and there's like a fall one. And again, like exactly, it's so good. You just collecting the cards and you're helping out your little tea dragons.
Yeah, you're just trying to make sure they don't get their tummy upset.
Look at them. You gotta entertain them. They gotta sleep. You gotta brush them. It's so cute and cozy. It's a nice short game. It's a nice short card game. It's easy to take around. So this is one that like I would take with me traveling. And again, if you like the book at all, you'll love this. I mean, just how babies. It's so good. It's so great. Scott Pilgrim, this one dropped a couple years ago. We had mixed feelings about it. I love Scott Pilgrim. The miniatures are really cool. Like you can set up in a really neat way. You're playing as the different like characters in there. They obviously put a lot of like heart into it. I can't remember why we felt kind of iffy about it, but
yeah, because it was a while ago.
Yeah,
and I don't know. Yeah, I can't quite remember. Of course, I have a lot less. I mean, I'm a lot less connected to the source material.
Yeah, I'm wicked in Scott Pilgrim.
So it's just kind of like, yeah, I can't remember. Like, also, I don't remember the game at all after playing it for.
It was a long
game.
Yeah,
so it didn't really sit with me as well.
This one is another Kay O'Neill one, but it's in like the Love Letter universe. So Love Letter is another like card game that you see a lot in board game stores. Social deduction. I actually forget how this plays, but I liked it. I forgot how it worked because you're trying to.
Yeah, you have like a handful of cards with different values, like the prince and the queen and all that stuff, and you have to play out cards that can best other people's cards. So it's social deduction in the fact that you don't know what the other players are going to play, and you want to be able to play the card that is the best in that scenario. It makes a lot of sense after you play it, but it's very straightforward. So once you understand what each card does and how the overall game works, super easy to play. And there's a bazillion of these Love Letter games.
Oh, yeah.
They're all the same game. They're just themed differently. But overall, I played a homemade Mario version of this game.
Really?
It's very. I mean, it's all the same game, but it's a lot of fun every time it's played, and it's simple to learn. It seems a lot more complicated than it is, but it's very, very simple.
It's not going to spring when you're traveling. Splendor Marvel. So Splendor's another like. The base game already exists. They just like Marvel themed it.
Marvelized.
I really like this one. The only bummer is it's very quiet. No one's really talking because you all are you have your own things that you're doing. You're trying to get the best cards. So you have to get like your smaller cards to get your bigger ones, and then you're just I don't know how to describe it.
It's not quite a deck builder, but kind of in the similar vein is that you're all trying to get stuff from the same pile. And every time I get what I need, Maddie gets the card before me. And so I have to redo my strategy every time I'm about to go get a card. So I don't know how she knows exactly what I'm going for every single time.
I'm sorry.
But she does it without fail, and I can never even get any points because she steals everything that I do on purpose, and she hates me.
I basically played as I'm trying to get enough resources to get my favorite characters. I don't really like the strategy. I don't care about, but I really just want. I'm like, oh, I want She-Hulk or I want Mantis or whoever. Oh no, Mantis isn't in this one. I think I checked. Splinter's so much fun, easy to pick up. Yeah, it's a nice like. It's an easy to learn one. I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those. Is once you get the feel of the game, it comes really, really simple. It's just trying to explain it to somebody. It seems incredibly complex, and it really isn't.
Yeah,
it's very very simple to play. Maybe not terribly easy to learn, but very simple to play.
Yeah. Ooh, this one I loved.
So good.
Wonder Woman Challenge of the Amazons. And this is by Ravensburger, which if I see them now, I'm like, okay, that's an easy pickup. They've done like a Princess Bride game that was really good. Mm-hmm. All the art in here is by Jenny Frison, so you know I love it. And basically, like, you choose one of 5 Amazons to play as. And you...
One of 3 different scenarios.
3 different scenarios. So it's like, let me see if it says on the back. Do we have the back? Okay, you either go against Cersei, Ares, or Cheetah. And so the board stays the same. What you use stays the same, but what they mean is something different depending on who you're fighting. So like Cersei is trying to turn people into animals, just like the story and everything. I can't remember what Ares and Cheetah were doing, but you're trying to work together as the Amazons, and you all have your own special abilities to defeat the big bads.
Yeah, it is one of the games that it's hard to scale it down to 2 players. It's much better if you have 4 players, just because it's very difficult to the action economy between 2 people it doesn't work quite as well. So very much a 3 or 4 player game, but
I guess somebody brought their pop figure in. But yeah, it's really it's cool.
Yeah, and there's a ton of replayability because all the different Amazonesses don't. I mean, they all play incredibly different. Mm-hmm. So some of them are a bit more effective in some scenarios that some aren't, but still a lot of fun to play each individual one.
Yeah, super recommend. And it's usually pretty inexpensive. This one I see it on sale a lot. I think we bought it like Target.
Yeah, very, very available.
Yeah. Marvel Champions, you brought that up. So it's another deck building game. It's one that like I like, but yeah, the barrier was that it wasn't like a pre-built deck necessarily. You'd use some of the cards that were in there, and I remember just being like overwhelmed immediately.
Yeah, there's a lot of stimuli as soon as you open up the packaging, and I couldn't handle it.
But we have a friend who buys all the sets. So usually if you have a group of friends, you're like, okay, you guys will buy all of Marvel Champions. We will buy all of DC deck building until we're dead or it's done. So that way you're just like, okay, someone else is in charge of this one, so we don't have to be.
Yeah, the very high barrier of entry, but I mean, I've only heard great things about it.
Yeah, I do want to try.
So once people get into it, it plays really well. It's just there's a lot going on, so it's very difficult to start. And they keep coming out with more character themed decks. Like I see them all the time, like Jubilee and Rogue and Squirrel Girl, and there's a lot of expansions. Oh my gosh, stop going to the top. Quit it. Just a refresher about all the... Oops. Okay. Marvel Dice Throne. So good. I don't know why we don't own this one yet. Because our friends do. So Marvel Dice Throne. You each just choose one of these characters and then fight each other. And you have your own set of cards. With dice. With dice. Maybe you can explain that better than me. Well, I mean, I remember playing it. There's each character plays differently. They have their own set of powers. You're really just trying to beat the tar out of each other the whole time. So you play out cards, and they'll have you spend resources that you'll build that you get from rolling dice, or the effectiveness of the cards you play will be affected by what kind of dice you roll. It's kind of a similar sort of Yahtzee fashion of keep one, roll some. But It's one where people usually just pick their favorites, and then they just get really good at playing that one character. There's like tournaments and stuff with this particular game, either the original Dice Throne or Marvel Dice Throne, which I imagine there would be nothing that could mean you couldn't play them together. But yeah, I mean, super fun to play. Just another one of those ones that I'd prefer to play with a lot of people.
Yeah, because you do one-on-one, it kind of sucks. You're only attacking the same person every time.
Yeah, so there's some limitation there.
Yeah,
but overall, this one is easy to learn and very hard to get good at.
But once you do,
it feels so good.
Yeah, once you learn your character, then you're like, yes, this is my guy. So these two we included, even though like Power Rangers isn't technically original. It's not originally comic book, but
this is based on the comic book.
This Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid and Shattered Grid take from the comic book directly. So like Dan Mora art. It has a ton of expansion, so you can add in Power Rangers from like all different seasons of the show. And there's so many figures in here.
So it's
a ton.
It could be overwhelming.
But I'm trying to get a picture of like the base system. Is somebody gonna put it down? Or they're not gonna do it? I guess they're not. They just have all pictures of the things. So basically, you choose your own ranger, and you have this like. Is it like a circular base, basically, or you have different areas of Angel Grove?
Yeah, and essentially you have a deck that deploys the villains to Angel Grove, and then you take your turn, or cooperatively, you take your turn to dispatch said villainous folks from the board. And they keep dispatching, so you got to make sure it doesn't get overrun, because if it gets overrun, and it will get overrun, you lose the game. So it's pretty stressful, actually. It kind of it gets out of control really fast. So it's very stressful. But when you do manage to kind of calm things down, it is very rewarding in that sense. So I think I would say play it with rules as is, and if you don't have fun, just tweak the rules a little bit.
We do that often because it's pretty punishing.
It especially for anybody who's newer to board games. This game will just beat the tar out of you.
But if you're a Power Rangers fan, you like the comic books, this is like, I think it's a must-have. Honestly, like I think it's great. And then all the expansions, you can get more Zords that you fight against, and
so good for collectors too.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And it's not listed here, but they also have a deck building game that it's non-cooperative, so it is villains versus heroes, but super fun to play.
I want to try that now that you spent more time.
Recommend it.
Last one, I guess last round. One is Hail Hydra. So if you like a lot of those deception games, like
Maddie loves them.
I hate them. I hate lying. I don't like them a lot. I could play.
She's lying to you right now. She's
no,
so good.
Stop. Like what? Avalon,
Resistance, Hail, a certain dictator.
Yeah, that one's really good. Hail Hydra's like that. So you're just trying to figure out who's in Hydra and who's not, and everyone like. Because you at the beginning you're assigned, but you don't tell everybody. And there's like this thing like, everybody close your eyes. If you're Hydra, open your eyes. Look at the other person who's Hydra. And like, so two of you know.
Yeah. So you're just trying to talk to everybody playing and just make sure they don't think you're a Hydra agent.
And the good guys are trying to get rid of the Hydra people. So if the Hydra people win, great. And if like the good people kill one of the Hydra people, I don't even have to kill them in this one, then they win. It's
comics. They get arrested.
Don't like it because I don't like lying, but this is honest. Most of my friends really love having this as a party game.
Yeah, the average board game player loves this game.
Yeah,
and it's a lot of fun to play.
Elliot's very good at it.
So it's definitely definitely easy to play. Just depends on your level of social anxiety.
Stresses me out. This is another one I put on here because we have it, or maybe we have regular Marvel United.
This is
we have one of them downstairs. I know the Guz Bus really likes this. He's painting his figures, and I've also heard that like it's better the more sets that you have.
It looks cute.
It is really cute. It's a bummer. We got it as like a wedding present. So
we haven't played it.
You know, because we buy a lot of games. But this is one that like I think if you're also looking for nice themed things, it's another good one to play, especially since everybody's so cute.
Look at them.
So unfortunately, I have it. I say, and it looks good. The rating's very good. I can't tell you a lot more about it because we haven't had a chance to play it yet. Because when you have so many board games, it is okay. It's cooperative. That's nice.
That's nice. So already a plus.
I've heard good things about United. I wanted to buy it, but I knew I'd have to get all the expansions, and I need a whole room to store them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's one of the big things that goes into board game collecting, because you have to think a lot about like, okay, can I handle all these boxes of things? And is this a game that when it has expansions is going to come up with like a big box and like a organizing system? We've had to like buy custom organizing systems from like Eastern Europe is usually where they come from for board games.
Yeah.
Like Gloomhaven and Mansions of Madness.
They're very good.
They're very good. I mean, they're nice. And it's worth it. But that a lot of that comes into play because it takes so much to set up. You need to make it easier on yourself.
Yeah, I mean, there's some of these games that you set up and you have to leave set up or you'll never play them again. So
yeah, we've had Frosthaven for like a year now.
I'm so scared to open.
And I want to play it so bad, but yeah, we have to like once it's out, it's out, and we have to protect it from our cat.
Yeah, you got a week or so of playing that game because it's a commitment.
And not everybody else wants to like sit with you for a whole weekend and just play that the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I love board games, but never know which ones to get. I'll walk into a shop to buy one and leave empty-handed because I don't know where to start.
Yeah,
that's
tough.
Fair.
It's tough because there's so much out there, and not all of it's even good.
That's why I really like to either like watch people play it that are interesting online. There's less so now. There used to be
there's less.
Will Wheaton show was really good.
Yeah, let's call for it now.
But if there's any like local smaller board game conventions, and I think a lot of times there are, that's the best place to go because you can just go and play stuff for free. One, you get to meet people, and two, you get to learn if you really like it, and then figure out what works for you. That's most of the reason we go to GenCon.
Mm-hmm.
And buying new board games is cool, but there's a board game library there that we bought the whole weekend ticket for. So we can go in there and just play all the new board games. Well, I always play Mall Madness. It's my favorite. And we can just play all these sorts of games and then just see if we like them. Because it sucks if you buy a game and you're like, yeah, this looks really cool. And then you get home like, this sucks. So, and I have, what was the God one I loved? Or it looked cool with Thor and Loki. It was like Anime Girls.
Oh, yeah. Kamigami Battles.
Kamigami Battles I bought for the art alone from Japanime because I thought it looked really cool. That game sucks.
It does look good.
Sucks so bad.
Probably could use balancing issues. Probably could have play tested a little longer, but
yeah. But yeah,
I wanted it to work so bad.
I did too.
I wanted because I even talked to the people who like Japanime themselves that were at a convention. I said, "Hey, is this really how this works?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh," and I walked away. It's like why?
Not great.
It just makes everything not fun.
Rip Tabletop. Yes, it was great. It was so good on Geek and Sundry because, like, first of all, they're funny, right? And then the way it's shot is interesting. So I feel like I really learned the board game from them. I used to just have that on all the time. It was great. And I haven't found a good comparison for that, really. It's such a bummer. Yeah, I would definitely like watch YouTube videos, find people, just do some research and see what kind of works for you. So that way you're not stuck with some expensive board game that maybe you don't want to play.
I mean, I totally recommend going into a board game shop, looking at stuff that's interesting and then not buying it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But like looking up like how to plays, maybe if you have somebody else who's also interested in, you can always go in with them on that too.
Yeah.
Because board games are expensive.
They're so expensive.
But I would highly try to convince you not to just go into a store and buy something. Board games are very notorious for looking cool, but maybe not being cool. Like once you actually crack it open.
Yeah, often we'll go and I'll take a picture and then we'll do a lot of research first before we jump in. GenCon a little less so because you have the urgency, but there's like demos in front of you.
Yeah.
And I have no impulse control when it's really loud. But yeah, the board game store, like there's a few that are still on my list that we've looked at that I know that I'm interested in. I'm like, okay, we'll wait till we watch more playthroughs, or maybe it's just like there's a good deal or something. But yeah, like Root, we thought looked really cool. And I think would still be good, but that we got for Tina, and that board game was like hard.
Yeah.
It was so cute. We bought it for like the art. I was like, this is too hard.
That's a fine game, just very hard.
Yeah.
So
and I don't want that.
I'm here to have fun.
I want some challenge. I just don't want to be like too much.
Yeah, I don't want to have to write a dissertation before my turn for,
Yeah, I paid a fortune for a Cthulhu game that's gorgeous, but I'll never play it. Been there. We paid a fortune for a Cthulhu game that luckily we do play
all the time.
Mansions of Madness, we will pull out at any point. Like, I'm like, if people are coming over and I know that they're down for a longer game, like, how would you like this game?
Yeah, so many.
It requires a computer to play it, but it's really fun. And it's so good. And I'll never make any more expansion for us, which is rude.
I mean, we're overdue for one. I'll walk over to Fantasy Flights and I'll give them.
Tell them.
I'll be like, hey, where's the next expansion? And they'll go, get out of here.
Who are you? Leave.
Who are you? Leave.
Well, yeah, that's our board game show. So I'll be back on Sunday. I need to talk to Jess and Steven, see what they'd like to talk about. And I'll be back on Wednesday officially, before we head to GenCon. So if you have any ideas of what you'd like to hear me talk about, because it might just be me, please give me ideas, because it'll be hard. Thanks for Elliot. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Otherwise, it'd just be me here like, I don't know, is this interesting?
Yeah, it's
Here's
good that
a
I'm
book I
here.
read.
They're not interested in talking to you, that's for sure.
But thank you guys so much. Check out our sponsor, InStockTrades.com. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. I'll see you on Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Bye.